said that God does not know the future, which is a really interesting point of view. It's very much a minority point of view in Judaism. But you do get the feeling, if you just take the Bible at face value, God doesn't know the future. He's constantly learning.
Absolutely. I mean, he seems to be learning both about his creation and, to me, it seems about himself.
Right.
I don't understand how that could be a minority opinion, because, look, if we have genuinely free will, then it seems like God surrendered his right to know the future.
Yeah,
right?
it does. Yeah, it does make sense to me.
Yeah.
If he gives us genuine free will, God has surrendered his right to know the future.
Right, and so, I mean, that if he does know everything we do in advance, then I feel like we're back at Islam. God does everything, knows everything, is responsible for everything.
There's no free will anymore.
But yeah, so I don't. I'd be interested to hear a rabbi explain how that would work.
Now, according to Doggy Style in our chat room, our Torah talk is what happens when your parents have thrown money at you all your life and you discover weed and you get so far up your own bum that you talk complete crap.
A Doggy Style, I won't argue with you. I don't know that the details match up perfectly to either look or my case, but I'll go with it. When your parents have thrown money, Mom and Dad, you hear that? you're falling down on the job. Well, thank you, Doggy Style. I'm going to take that as a compliment.
But it is kind of interesting that God does discover his, like, it's very much like a parent. I mean, at first he's like really excited about his creation. It's like,
right.
Oh, and this is good, and this is good, and this is good. And it's like, look, he made a little poo, it's good. It's like, it's so exciting. And they're all excited about their creation. And then the kid, puts his finger in the light socket. And
it starts to get old.
Like, pulls down the bookshelves. And tears up your prized manuscript. And
right. And God tires of it.
And choose your Babe Ruth rookie card.
Oh, that'd be rough. Yeah.
And I mean, and then it's like, oh, I'm taking the kid and dropping him off in an orphanage, like getting rid of him. And then, I'm going to try again with another kid.
Right.
It's just like, better behave.
Yeah. I think that's right. I mean, I think that, it's sad, but in studies of maternal love, there's a difference between the intensity of the early feelings a mother has towards a baby. They're concerned about every little moment, that everything be just right and no problems. And then the kid gets into his teens and or older, and very often the mother just kind of will sit by idly as a teen self-destructs and will tend. I think the novelty wears off, even maternal love, which is purer than paternal love.
Can you tell by our shirts we've both had money thrown at us?
Yeah, right. This is a plea to my mother. She's from Detroit.
What does that say, Detroit?
Detroit. I'm hoping that if I represent, maybe the trust fund will appear. But Doggy Style, is it possible that you're projecting a bit? Is that just? Can I just put that out there? Rewind. What's the nature of this discussion, ladies?
Is he calling us ladies? We're discussing Torah portion Noah, isn't it obvious?
We're discussing Noah. Well, there is. I think what you said is very true. And with Noah, I feel like Noah is interesting because he's a reluctant prophet. Let me.
Wait. Where do you get that? Where did you get he's reluctant?
Oh, I was just trying to say something respectable.
He was just trying to say something respectful about the text.
Respectable about the text, but actually that's not what I was most interested in. I'll just jump to the prurient part. One question I had about this was so Ham gets himself in trouble because he does something and he sees Noah's nakedness, it tells us, and then Shem and Japheth get are much more respectful and avert their eyes from Noah's drunken nakedness. I'd heard it said that Ham. What did he really do? Because
it's not clear. So maybe he castrated Noah, which would be a real downfall.
Is that one of the interpretations?
Yeah. You get drunk, and you wake up the next morning, you don't have a penis
without
anymore.
His peeper. Boy,
whoa!
That curse of Ham.
Another is that he just made fun of him, or another that he had sex with him. Or...
I thought he had sex with. I'd heard that he had sex with Noah's wife, who would have been Ham's mother, but.
I hope he did that rather than have sex with Noah.
Right.
I mean, just when you get drunk and you wake up and realize that your own boy is
That would be
buggered
no
you.
good.
It's like,
That's what my father-in-law always reminds me when I'm leaving his place. He always says, "Remember, Joey, you rape the women and kill the men."
I think those are important messages
right.
for the youth out there that
Right.
are watching this, the yeshivas that are playing this on the big screen.
Right, right. Well, they bought their ticket. They knew what they were getting into. We should have more yeshivas tuning in.
So anyway, the God of the Torah wants to have, I hate this word, relationship, but he certainly wants to like engage with his creation, and he wants to give them a lot of moral demands, but he wants them to be fruitful and multiply and like to somewhat enjoy themselves. But he wants to. It's called dialogic. That was a word that I used. He wants a dialogic relationship, but he like talks to human beings and communicates and he listens. He listens. Yes, he does listen at times. Like he argued with Abraham, which will be coming up, and he did talk to Adam and Eve. So he's, he feels very much like my rabbi. He does listen, but in the end, my rabbi gives the law. Right.
But in Hashem's case, the law is somewhat malleable at times. People are able to persuade him to adopt a new position.
Right.
Doesn't that happens? Not here, but not
Like
in
where?
Noah. Well,
when he wants to wipe out the Israelites, and Moses says no.
Right, and Sodom. I think how many good men does there have to be in
Right.
Sodom
And he got him down to 10.
And he got him down to 10. So he's
So he does listen, and he's willing to change his mind.
right. And I know in the Talmud there's one of the midrashim is that he some Chacham manages to persuade God that he's actually wrong about something.
Right. That's about whether an oven is clean or unclean, and so it says, if I'm right, then let the house tip over, let the stream flow backwards, and all those things happen. And Elijah asks God, "What do you think of this?" And God laughs and says, "My children have defeated me."
Right, because I think what I'd heard was that Elijah's arguing with the other Chachamim, and he says, and then one of the other ones says, if we're right, if God thinks we're right, then this should happen, and it all happens, and Elijah's like, butt out, God. And God's like, what are you
the
telling
Torah
me
is here on earth.
Yeah, right. You're telling me to
It's
butt
not
out.
in
He said, it's
heaven.
here for us to interpret. You don't
Right.
settle arguments. And God laughs, and so there is something all relationships are dialogical. All relationships, ideally, are dialogical.
Yeah.
So God,
So he wants stuff from us, and he wants us to relate to him.
maybe he's
But
lonely.
I can't imagine that he's like, oh, Levi prayed to me today. Like he's called me the God of gods, or all those things we say in the, is he really enjoying our prayers? I mean, does he really get anything out of it when I read out of the book?
Does God get anything?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I said in one of the first things I wrote for Juicy. Is I actually calculated as best I could the number of times the Amidah had been spoken in Jewish history.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, is God still really enjoying?
Right.
the
Isn't it
Amidah?
getting a little
Like,
stale?
Still, I mean, you're talking about, it was an astronomical number. So if it's a relationship, relationships need to develop, at an appropriate pace. But
I think the Reform got it. We should put our arms around each other and sing Imagine.
well, it's not my instinct, but at the same time, I don't know. You could try it out. See whether I don't know. See how God responds, if at all.
So Noah, unlike Abraham, he does not plead with God to save humanity. God tells Noah, "I'm going to destroy the world. I want you to build a boat." And Noah's like, "How big do you want the boat?"
Right. Yeah. Noah. Maybe reluctant. He's a flawed prophet. I think I'd heard that as well. That he's
not reluctant. There's nothing in here about him being reluctant.
Not reluctant. So he's a flawed prophet. Was that what I'd heard?
Yeah. He's not exactly empathic.
Right. He's not the most compassionate. He's a drunkard. Yes. And God says, "I'm going to destroy all of creation. Build a boat." And when I was like, "Well, what's this boat got to be like?" So yeah. So he's not the most. But it addresses it in here. It says that he was a good man.
It says he was perfect in my Art Scroll translation. It
Perfect.
says Noah was a righteous man.